from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. My name is Mehmet, and as you know, in each episode I cover different topics. And recently I changed a little bit the theme. So I was covering only tech, but I decided later on also to put the mix of technology, startups, entrepreneurs, and even small businesses, because this is the main thing that we try to help owners of businesses to start and to flourish. And this is why today I have with me David, who's joining me from Orlando. David, thank you very much for being here today. David has a lot of cool things to tell us about today, but first, let's get to know more about him and what he's up to. David, thank you very much for being on the show today. The scene is yours.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's so exciting to come onto your show and chat a little bit about Tweva and helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. I love that you kind of you're helping them because it's a really hard thing to start a small business. I'm sure that most of your listeners know. I remember the first hump of me just starting the legal part of the business was such a brain problem. I was working, I was programming, I was building, but just this idea of having my own business was a scary time. I mean, years ago, but still, I think it's a lot of it's something for a lot of people to kind of think about. Oh, how do I do this? And it's really great that you're helping people figure that piece out.
Thank you very much, David, for that. Now, when someone, whether it's a startup, tech startup, anything, right? So the first uh, topic, top of mind on any founder or business owner, how I get customers, right? And the way they do is they use technology to help them. Now, I want to ask you, David, that because I've chatted with you about it before. People think that, okay, like we go do digital marketing and that's enough. But from your perspective, can you explain to people who are watching or listening to us why this is not enough and what can they do with technology to reach more customers?
So, in digital marketing, where most of the people are now moving, they want to say, I want to be on Facebook, I want to be on Twitter. You have your big social platforms, you got Google AdWords running. Everybody is flocking to those platforms, and it's just becoming more expensive because now you have thousands and millions of people bidding for those specific keywords. And so we wanted to bring a different perspective to it. We wanted to help the small businesses in local towns gain exposure through TV. And this is kind of something that has not really been an easy way to do, especially cost effective in ever really because of technology. Um, so you have your regular TV channels out there, and there's a select amount of time that they can sell to advertisers. So we
Hmm.
tried to mix this up a little bit and say, okay, how can we create a local TV channel for every single city and then allow small businesses to create some content to advertise on those screens? And so we formulated a way with Tweva to allow business owners to create that content and share it for a lot less than advertising on the big platforms like Google, Facebook, right? Not that those aren't good. You need to be very diversified in your advertising. But with Tweva, we allow business owners to finally access people's eyes in those local communities using the Tweva network.
That's very cool. Can you explain a little bit more, David, how you are able to do this? Like, for example, if I'm a business owner, um, how do I reach out? Should I subscribe to your service? Like, is it like I have to buy something from you? How it works? If you can a little bit elaborate on this.
Yeah. So the Tweva network starts with businesses with foot traffic. So there's no sense in putting an advertising screen in a one or two person office, right? There's not going to be a lot of eyes there. But we start in the small businesses with a lot of foot traffic. So think about a restaurant or a bar or a doctor's office, something where there's people walking through, looking over at the screens. And those businesses would then subscribe to the service, and they would allow that one or two screens in their business to be part of the Tweva network. And what they can do is they can use it for digital advertising. So let's say if it's a pizza place or Italian food, they would show their food on the screen. And then also the screen would gain access to local community things that are happening. So just think about it. So like a local TV channel. It would show maybe the mayor tweets something out, and
Hmm.
they say, hey, what's happening in the town today, or what's the building that's, what construction is happening down the way. I'm sure you've seen that in your community. Like, what are they building over there? And that's kind of
Right.
a thing that they're not going to show that on the local, the big local Orlando TV channel, but we want to show these in the small communities.
That's cool. And is this available now only in the US, or like do you have you expanded worldwide?
We're working on worldwide. We're definitely working to that, but we're building out of Florida right now. We're building
Hmm.
out Raleigh and Texas. We've got a couple of people building the networks out, but it requires a couple of things to get things going, right? So you need some screens, you need content, you need influencers to be able to create content. This opens up the network to think about, like, let's think about the influencer for a second. So
Hmm.
they're really good at taking pictures. They know how to create content, videos. Let's just start with Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right? There's millions of people that know how to create incredible content with a phone. But if you don't follow them, you'd never know. So if we could give them a public screen to share that content with, then they can now gain followers from all of those local audiences that they go to.
Wow, it's a really cool idea, and it's very exciting. Now, in addition to this, like you talked about, I mean, not only how they would deliver, but what they would deliver. How much is important for business owners and entrepreneurs also to focus a little bit on, I would call it, the personal branding to differentiate themselves. Like from your experience, you've been doing multiple businesses, David, yourself for over a long time. How can you describe the importance of self branding? I would say.
That is a learned mistake, I would say, is so in business and marketing, you want to stand out from a very different, let's say there's five different types of businesses, five different types of restaurants, five different chiropractors in a city. How do you stand out from the other person? And because everybody can do Facebook marketing, right? So you can make a little ad, you can best chiropractor ever, da 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 da. But the branding part is a different piece. The branding is, what are you producing that people will see when they might not need a chiropractor? And that's kind of where the Tweva network, the TV network, stands to brand local businesses. So let's say that you're getting your hair cut at a local barber and you're saying, okay, what's up on the TV screen? Well, if you see somebody working in a plumbing, you might say, "Oh, that's neat. Some guy is fixing either a toilet or a pipe or a sprinkler head, right? Who's
Hmm.
this person? He could be living in the community." Now, that's where we push the branding, is teach people how to do things, because TikTok is incredibly popular for this quote unquote infotainment. This is what
Oh
people
yeah.
want to watch, right? So if we can help people watch some of that content, and bring the business aspect into it. Say, hey, this is how you fix this. Call me if you need plumbing. call me for chiropractic needs. And now, if you think about it, it's not this call me, I'm the best person out there. I'm the world's best chiropractor. That's kind of cheesy. That's old. But if
Right.
you're telling people, like I've heard, sitting in the car a little sideways, bending your neck a little bit and leaning on the rest, you think it feels fine, right? And it feels fine for a few minutes. But if you do that over the course of a year, you tend to stress one of the sides of your body. Now, is that valuable information? Yes. Can it be created in a form of infotainment? Yes, absolutely. But where would you show it? Well, are people going to search for that? No, but it's something that's informational. It can be done on Tweva and it can be shown on the networks. And that's where the branding would come in. This is the local chiropractor showing people, hey, make sure when you're sitting in your car, you're sitting straight, your body's centered, those kind of things. So, in your business, and this is different for every single type of business, figure out what you could teach people as kind of like that first piece. What would you give away for free? What information could you brand your business with and say, hey, this is what I do. And I want to teach you these 5 tips so that when you do have this issue, you call me. And that's kind of where that branding comes in.
Wow, that's really. I never thought like about the ability of having this shown on a screen rather than swiping this on my smartphone and bringing that back to a larger audience where everyone around us can see this
That
is
that is exactly what it is. It's everybody's on their phone. If you go to the bar, you go to a restaurant, everybody's scrolling on their phone. They're very focused on their dedicated feed. But if we
right.
could bring their eyes up a little bit to where other people are there, and we could say, "Hey, Joe, why don't you share a picture of your vacation? Where did you go? Did you go to the Grand Canyon the other month? Ah, okay, boom, boom. Hey," you might get somebody sitting at the bar saying, "Hey, I was there 2 years ago or 5 years ago. You should have seen it." And it starts this little conversation and connection between people that are living in the community, right? Now,
Wow.
he doesn't see that if it's just on the phone. So this is
Right.
the idea, right?
Right. That's really cool idea, I would say. Um, like, have you done some testings? I mean, like, I'm curious to know what was if you have anyone who's using today, what was their reaction when they see it? Because really, I'm thinking about now. I'm trying to imagine that instead of me sitting waiting for my turn at the barber shop, as you said, and getting to see what's around. So what does the action from if you have any early adopters or like if someone is currently using it?
Yeah, we have a few early adopters here in Central Florida, and most people love what they see and they love that interaction between because not everybody knows it firsthand. I mean, it's kind of new technology, but most people like seeing local things that are happening in their city. So we've played, technology, big companies through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then you had this push to huge companies, and that's good. But people tend to flow back to personal advertising, user generated content. People sipping a coffee talking about a product with their other hand, people tend to like that more. So the adoption of, well, not the adoption, but the interaction of people looking at the screen saying, hey, what's happening in my town? Oh, the band's playing at that restaurant on Thursday night at 7. Oh, that's neat. I didn't know that. That's important to them. And then also this other user generated content works very well. So it's been a very successful uh, few tests that we've had, and it just needs more content, really.
So does the content come from you or whoever is using your network, they have to come up with their content?
It's a mix of both. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be it's a mix of we want more influencers, we want content creators, right? So think about the influencers. So they're going to go around, they're going to take a picture of a croissant and a coffee, right? And they're going to
Yeah.
snap. Oh, check this out. Put it on my Facebook. Check this out. Put it on my Instagram. Check this out. Put it on Tweva TV. That's the idea. So the more influencers adding content, you're sitting now at the barber, you're sitting now at the doctor's office or at a
Yeah.
different, and I wouldn't say food to food, like we don't want to be too competitive, but wherever you're seeing, you're like, dude, that's a good looking croissant, man. I want that. Oh, no, I gotta go. I gotta go. Okay, next time, where's that croissant again? I know it was somewhere. I saw it around here. And because you see it on Tweva, you know it's local. That's the neat
Yeah.
part. So if I see something on TV, I'm like, great, where is it? I don't know where it is. Is that a McDonald's? Is it a franchise? When you see Tweva, you're gonna know that it's local to your town. That's
So
the
it's specific for that area, right?
Yes, it's for the town. I mean, if you're living in a bigger city, they'll have to be, a little bit broken up probably so that it wouldn't be across town. Like people say, New York City. Well, yeah. But most cities, you have your big cities, but outside the big cities, there's thousands of small cities that don't have their own broadcast channels. And we want to
Right.
really allow all those small businesses to finally have the chance to create content and share what they do.
That's really cool, David. I love the idea, and it resonated with me also as well, honestly speaking. So you're creating kind of the next, I would not call it the social network in the traditional way, but the next, I would say, ad platform for small, medium businesses or even
Yeah,
single business owners.
it's a cross between an ad platform, a community television, news for the local city. It's really a combination of think about it, everybody's sharing now, right? Your Tesla
Yeah,
car. Well, you're gonna pay a lot for your Tesla because one day we're gonna rent it back and then we'll pay you $1,000 a month or something if it can take 5 people to work. Okay, that's cool. What about the TV? Has anybody touched that yet? Has anyone said, there's all these screens around. Can we share them together in a way that's appropriate, in a way that's beneficial to the community? We don't want to slander. We don't want anything negative. This is a positive thing that, how about a picture of the sun rising in your town with a flag of the country and a little flower and the dew that, in the morning. That's a cool photo. Well, it might live on Facebook for 10 seconds and then whoosh, it's gone, but just have that
yeah.
play somewhere. It's like, "Oh, that's my city. I love my city." Or if you live at the beach, right? And it's the beach photo of the sun rising or setting. I mean, that's neat stuff that should be shared. Or, if you think about, high school football or soccer or anything that's below the national level doesn't have as much broadcast time. So can we help
Right.
them gain exposure to people, the audience, replay parts of the highlights of the game at the local restaurants? Those are things that would drive people to go to those restaurants.
I love it. So the question I want to ask you, David, and this is, did you face this issue yourself? And this is, were you trying to solve your own problem? Or is it something like, because as entrepreneurs, we go and either solve our own problems or we speak to other people. So how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so we were sitting at the three different founders that we started Tweva with is we were sitting at a restaurant and it was actually one of the founders' restaurants. He had 10 or 20 restaurants and he just loved to connect people. So he would always tell people like contractors, like he's like, "Oh, this contractor's here for lunch." Let's say it was a plumber, right? So the plumber's sitting over here for lunch, and he might have overheard someone say that they have a problem that he could fix. Well, he would love to connect them. "Oh, here, why don't you exchange business cards? Oh, I could help you." And he loved to get that local connection going because he loved people. And so he would even tell the contractors, go take all of your business cards and put them up at the front. So when people walk in and out, they would see you. So the initial idea was we were sitting at the restaurant and we saw I think it was like a Pizza Hut or Domino's commercial. And we were just
Hmm.
joking. We were like, how dare they show it in an Italian restaurant? Like, don't they know who we are? And we thought, could we create something that doesn't have those types of ads in, an Italian restaurant? Like you could show everything else. So we kind of figured, okay, can we build something? And that it really started at that point, but it grew. It definitely started with something small, like, oh, it could be a slideshow, it could be businesses. And I was like, well, you're gonna need a little bit of weather in there. What about social media? Could we tell the business that you're in, hey, share your Facebook posts, share your Twitter posts, your LinkedIn, And every time you post there, we'll show it on the TV. And if anyone's not following you at the business, like let's say they're eating food, oh man, oh, I don't like you yet. Okay, like, follow, now you've gained another subscriber. So it was really a combination of a lot of things that we wanted to fix or weren't as efficient as they could be that kind of created the idea. But it's definitely started small and you grow with these features and ideas over time. I'm sure you know, right? In the entrepreneur world, that's the way it works.
Yeah, that's correct. And from like you get the idea, and then have you decided immediately to, I mean, seek funding for that, or did you decide to go with the path of bootstrapping this?
Well, we bootstrapped it from really the beginning. So we were bootstrapping the idea, we were pushing it, we were sitting there going, okay, what if we create this feature? How if we do this? What do we do with this piece? And we built it out. And sadly, uh, the idea, one of the founders that had one of these main ideas of the restaurants, he passed away recently. And we were like, oh my goodness, you know, we have the great product, bring it to market, but what do we do for funding? How do we create it to get to the next level? And so we started talking to venture capital. We started first with a business accelerator. And the business accelerator is an eye opener to people that have not been in the business accelerator. There are so many pieces when you go to a venture capital that you have to have in line, besides the idea and a product and it be tested a certain way. So no, we originally did not go that direction, but I do advise if you're looking at saying, okay, I want to one day go to venture capital or even angel investors, you
Mhm.
have to think about that now. You have to think about that even before you start coding, because a lot of the things that you spend your time on could be pushed just a little aside for that investor, what they're looking for, right? Or finding the right investor. And sometimes that changes a little bit of the direction of what you do, how you do. Um, and it's very important to know those details before you start. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, how important, because you mentioned a couple of things which also like it seems to me that you have built not only, I mean, the product, but before you build the product, it seems like you build the network and you build the connections, right? How this important for anyone, whether starting a business, starting a company, being, coming up with the next big thing, how important is to have the network before jumping in and start building?
Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday on a podcast, and he was saying that it's more important to have a list of 1,000 emails of people that are interested in your idea than to just build the idea and then try to find the customers. They said it's like launching to crickets. And I thought that's kind of funny because a lot of people, especially with technology now, right? People are like, oh, I have this great idea. I have this idea. I want to do this. And if you're not building that audience of people that like the idea or may give you a tip on the idea, you will launch to crickets, quote unquote. And so it's very important to, number one, create your landing page, send a lot of traffic to it. And you can start with just, hey, this is the premise of the idea. This is a local TV channel for your business, or this is a social TV for your business, or I'm going to start designing websites for people, or whatever it is that you want to start. There's free landing page builders and email
Hmm.
campaigns that you just start with and start pushing it out to people. Go on podcasts, talk about it, generate that little bit of interest in what you do so that when you do complete your final beta version 1 MVP, you can launch it to those customers and then you can get immediate feedback. That's very important. And when you start a cycle of doing this correctly, when you get to the any type of angel or VC, you have a history of doing the right thing, of checking the market, because there's risk in, not checking the market. Think about 5, 10 years ago. I don't know, Facebook's probably older than that, but
Yeah.
he was on the verge of, hey, I'll create this unknown idea. It's not necessarily tested, but I'll take the risk on and code the whole project, then I'll launch it. It's not till much later that he went to, any kind of capital, but he had those things set up already. We somehow forget that today and we think, oh, we'll create the product and then we'll just try to get, everybody to use it. But it's really the opposite. You have to be creating while you're using so you can fix these problems. And then when you bring those to any kind of investment type, they can look at it and say, okay, I saw this problem here. I engaged with the customer and I thought it was A, but it really was C or D. So I
Hmm.
pivoted a little bit. I changed those things. I fixed them and see that now they're happy with the product because it's not always exactly what we think it is. Um, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's a
100%.
lot of going back and forth with the market.
100%. And I think maybe I have repeated this on the podcast with different people multiple times. This is for anyone who's starting any kind of business, by the way. It doesn't have to be only in tech startups. You need to be flexible and forget your ego, because if you think, oh, I'm building, this cool app, but it ends up that no one wanted, you need to pivot very quickly, right? So,
Yes.
uh, and
Yeah,
by
that's
the
very
way,
important.
people think that this applies only to tech startups or startups. I think it applies even to any business of any kind, because if today I open a shop, let's say a gift shop, and it turns out that people in the town, they don't like to send gifts, so I right,
Yep.
I need to go and find another business to be in. So it's common sense, but I think technology put this, the cool factor, like it's the next generation thing. i, I think we need to, you know get out of this mode and, really go speak to the customers. I agree with you
Yeah.
100% on this.
Yeah, a lot of
Now.
people think it's percentages sometime, like, "Oh, if, I'll create this technology and it just scale. I just need 1% of this, or I just need 10% of that." And they said, "That's a bad don't go down that road," because you're essentially saying if you're in percent, there's only 100 types of competitors, right? So if you're like, "Oh, I need 1%," that means you're only 99 different than somebody else, and that's not always the case. "Oh, I'll
That's
take 50% of the market." Well, then that means there's only 2 of whatever you're doing. And it's
Yeah,
not ever that way. You have to look at the full marketing piece, how many customers. If you're talking a gift shop, it would have to be how many tourists are coming to the town. There's so many little details that we don't always think of.
yeah, market research, right?
Market
This is
research, that's right.
uh, David, like, while preparing for the episode, I get to know that you have experience in vast, you know, the blend of technologies like AI, 3D printing, automation. So, how this played a role in development of Tweva?
It's funny how a lot of different life experiences all kind of played into the development and build out and ideas of Tweva. I guess it's comes with age a little bit, but I'm a tech person. I love, like up here, you have the 10, 15-year-old XL1 digital camera, Firewire, right? I mean, years ago. So it was in the producing and video years ago. Back to, I think I must have been 8 or 10. I had a 16 channel audio mixing board in my bedroom with a small studio. And I thought, okay, this is fun. It's funny now. Later on, I'm creating a network for people to be able to produce content. But a lot of different life experiences come to play with this, like AI. AI is now it's more publicly talked about. Years
Mm,
ago, it wasn't. I mean, people would say, well, it'd be an algorithm or something to use. But we use a little AI in Tweva in the distribution model for the ads of who's standing next to these TVs or who's in the building of those TVs. A little bit in the SEO side, in the social media side also. We're using AI to develop a little bit better content or keywords, connections between users to help create the best ad and then also show it to the correct people at the correct time. a lot of those things came into play. 3D printing our boxes, we started first with 3D printing custom boxes. And we figured, okay, well, this is great. We'll eventually get this to be produced, but it's hard to scale printing your own 3D boxes. I've had robot arms, and I just love technology. This is just an extension of one of the many pieces that I love to kind of dabble in.
That's cool. Um, David, like as any entrepreneur or founder, I'm sure like you have this ambitious vision for Tweva. Where do you want to see Tweva?
Well, I want to see Tweva to be the dominant TV channel for every single city. And I want to have I call them local reps around in those cities to help businesses start up. That's really what I want. I want to see a big company, community focused, helping the small business gain exposure. And what we call it is community experts. So I want that chiropractor to be the trusted community expert, but how do we get them there? Well, you can't do everything, but you can teach people the proper way to create content, to broadcast the local school channel. And that doesn't just happen from one company. This happens through many people and local connections. Our slogan is for the locals. So if you think about
Nice.
anything that is done is for the locals. So the TV channels for the locals, the ads are for the locals, the social media is for the locals. So I want to see this huge network that when you see the TV in any kind of public place, you go, okay, that's Tweva. Cool. I want to add something to that. Okay, this is the cool car that I always wanted. There's my Bugatti. And then, when your friend comes in, he's like, yeah, Dave, I see it. Yeah, you load your car out there every single time we go out. It's funny. When are you going to get it? And that would be this little connection between people. But I want to see a big company. I want to see locals helping locals. I think we're heading back to that direction from industrial, corporate, big to community based. So if I can have a hand in that, this will be my piece, right?
That's really cool. As we come closer to the end, Dave, like if you want to give advice for anyone who's younger than us, who's just, maybe just finished college, or maybe he want to drop out or she want to drop out, I don't know, and they want to start their own business, what advice you give?
Well, if you don't know the business, this could be any kind of business, right? It
Right.
could be any type of business. Definitely work in the industry for at least a year and figure out the tips, the tricks, the little things that you won't struggle with, because that really is a time saver. And one little trick that somebody may teach you could, save you 6 months to a year of doing something the wrong way. So that would be number one. And then number two, once the business is started, or let's say you've built out your audience and you need that marketing, I know a lot of people don't think it's that important, but it really is important to be known. I think people like to buy from people they either know, they like, or they trust and respect. And
100%.
right, isn't that more, hey, I like this guy's voice, or I like his hair, or something, or her hair, or that's very important in that likability of, oops, I made a mistake and that guy's an idiot, or, oh, it's okay. And it's weird how people work like that, but it is true. And so that's a very important piece to know, that when you are doing anything, if you can record that and save it in time. So let's say, okay, I'm just starting my business. In 10 years, where do I want to be? How much content do I want out there? I was a behind the scenes person for years.
Mhm.
And to think about somebody else had recorded what they did and put it online, and there have 10 million people following them. What's the difference? Just recording, marketing, right? So when you're starting your business, think about where you want to be and what pieces of that journey you can record, edit, and publish so that people know who you are in a few years. And that's, if you combine the experience of doing the right thing, And then the marketing side, I think that would help 80 to 90% of small businesses get there much faster, right?
100%. And just for people, I would add something to what Dave he mentioned. And this doesn't apply only to a B2C business. This also applies for B2B businesses, because even in B2B, at the end of the day, someone, a human being, is buying from another human being. So
Absolutely.
100%, 100%. Like, I know, people think, oh, there it's different. It's like people are more like formal. Yeah, but this guy is a human being and he has feelings, and, like,
They
he
might have
has
been.
mood.
They might have
Yeah,
been before, but that look how fast things change, and I don't
100%.
know if it was a formulation with TikTok or Instagram, but Instagram is trying to follow this less perfect model of people and perfect images. But now people are starting to say, hey, I want to like the people that I work from, because I feel like I might be getting gypped a little bit from this corporate look of the big company, right? So I
Right,
want to work with somebody who I can kind of tell, do I like you? If we go out for a drink together, is he funny? Is he trying to
right.
take advantage of something? And they're kind of looking for that personality piece in it. And I think that's why I'm saying for the marketing side, if you can bring out a lot of what you do and how you do it, and your personality and the skill, that separates you very quickly from every one other chiropractor, every other plumber, every other web designer, every other podcaster, right? Everything, because you're
100%.
now creating that little bit different.
100%. Uh, Dave, before we come to a close, anything that you wished I asked you, or you want to share something before we close?
No, I think this is a great conversation. It's a great conversation about chatting a little bit about how to help those small businesses. And that's kind of my passion as a small business for so long growing up. I don't think I had a real job since like 16. I just always worked out in the world, in the tech world. I would network computers and build this and build that. And but that if I, oh my goodness, so I had recorded plugging in Cat 3 back then with my
Oh,
Trio 650, and I posted that to YouTube. Like, he's like, hey, Dave's been doing this for this long. That would have made a difference. So I think we've covered a lot for the small business. I really think we've covered everything that we needed to chat about.
that's great to hear, David. I hope that you enjoyed also as well. By the way, for you to know, I'm gonna share the link for Tweva. So because we have a lot of audience actually based in the US, and I think a lot of them, they might be in Florida actually. So I will make sure, and if someone wants to connect with you, I will share
Yeah.
your profile as well. Um, Dave, thank you very much for the time today. I think also we had a great discussion how back to, from the big to the community to the small to more human. I loved what you are doing. And I hope to see your technology very soon here in Dubai also as well. It's a very cool technology, I would say. Thank you very much for your time. And for everyone who watched or is listening to the episode, if you have any question to me or to Dave about the technology, let them come to us. I will route them to David. Don't worry about it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are a first time here. And if you are listening using your favorite podcasting platform, also please don't forget to subscribe. And again, if you are interested to become a guest on the show, I would be more than happy. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. David today he's in the US. The other day I had a guy from New Zealand, and tomorrow I'm gonna have another guest from, I think, South Africa. So don't worry, we can arrange for this. Time zone is not a huge issue here. And as usual, please, please, please send me feedback about the content. I'm trying to get the best of the best. I'm trying to either educate you about something, bring someone who's subject matter expert, someone like David today, who's an entrepreneur and has a lot of experience in his field, to just give you this spark so you go out and you start your own thing. I hope you like this episode and the show in general. And as usual, we'll meet next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.